Hi everybody, good morning. Today is October 24th, 2023. I want to come to you with a new teaching that the Lord is just really pouring out these days. And I just want to be able to share with you guys, whoever is kind of in maybe a rut. So today I want to bring to you overcoming death. What happens in the stone tomb and how we are essentially dissolved in there. So the only way through death is to overcome death, according to Revelation 20:14. Exiting the door is the second judgment. And this again relates to Noah. When Noah entered the ark, he entered through a door. And every time you see a door, there's a judgment, every single time in the Bible that I've seen so far is Noah entered through the door, it was closed, judgment rained down. Lot entered through the door of his house, he opened it to the people, it was shut, the angels took him into his house, and judgment rained down. So, and Christ says that as in the days of Noah, as in the days of Lot, so will the coming of man be. When the Lord took me to this, in Romans 7:9, it's when we were alive without the law first, then we were under the law, the commandments of the letter, and then we were dead. That was the first death. So when the letter came, sin revived. But then we overcame by the truth or the word of the testimony. And I see that this is, and as it was explained to me from the Lord, is I hear that we overcome by becoming flush with the letter. And he gave me a picture, a vision in my mind. It was of a gravestone. And when someone dies, there's an engraved letter in that stone with your name on it. And then when we become the truth, which is the actual character of Christ, God, it fills up. When you start learning of the character and when you become full, you become even. And the vision was this gravestone, which was blank, engraved in the letter, which represents the law, and then fills up with water and becomes blank, even. There's no more price to pay for debt or death. It's even. There's no more price. So we actually have to become the character. We are the letter made flesh, the word or the truth. It is, we've filled up the letter. Then we are even with death. The price has been paid. Christ showed us how to do it. And from the first moment the truth was conceived in us is when we overcame. It sprouted life in us and we became a beautiful garden. So we are now flesh and we're even. The law leaves an indentation in the stone, and it has been filled by the truth. Truth overcomes the letter, and this is how Christ overcame the serpent's tests. Christ became the meaning, the character of the letter. So Christ makes sense of the inconsistencies in the letter. You'll see in when Jesus is tested in the wilderness, Satan keeps bringing him the misconceived letter. It's not the truth. And how Christ overcomes that is by actually using the character of the letter to overcome. The character is the soul of the letter. Remember, the soul is what leaves Christ first. He gives up his last breath, and the soul leaves. The word soul is what we're bound to. It's our covenant. When he says, take off your sandals, for you are walking on holy ground. It's the same thing. Also, when Christ washes the feet of the disciples, he is saying, I am under you. I am serving you. I am under you. You are overcoming him. That means if we don't make it, then he isn't going to make it either. When we already know he did make it to the other side and back. So, anyways, back to the letter. So this indentation is actually a gap. The gap is the groove that the letter left. When Christ went into the tomb grave as one form, but raised out of the gap, the grave, the tomb, as another. The flood, the character, fills the gap left by the letter so that we are flush, even. I keep seeing this trap door, and I now understand it's a window. In the ark, there was a trap door. The trap door was a window. So the birds came in through the door. They were judged once. They went into the ark, and they escaped the ark through the window. They didn't leave through the window. There was no more judgment for them. They overcame the second death, which is the lake of fire, because they went through the window. I'm speaking metaphorically here. Everybody listen to what I'm saying, is that they did not go through the door. They left through the window. The dove and the raven. These were the only two that were able to escape death. The other two, Noah and the beasts of the earth, they had to go through the door. Is everybody listening to this? This is coming down. This is unbelievable, amazing. They didn't have feathers. They didn't sprout their wings. They could not fly. Think of the bridesmaids, everybody. 5 wise, 5 foolish. 5 wise went through, they're gonna go through the window. There's an escape hatch. They became flush with the letter. They overcame the letter by the word of their testimony. They've become even. If you're stuck in the letter and you have to go through the door, it is because you have not overcome death. You have not filled the gap with the character of God. It is Christ, all forgiving, all loving, all righteous. He really is the true intention of God. So Christ, also speaking of the gravestones that have been covered in water that are even with death, Christ is the water of life. Jesus Christ. He's the truth. He's the meaning of the letter, which is the character of the letter, and the soul of the letter. Just reading over my notes, making sure I didn't leave anything behind here. Yes, when we fill the gap, we become a permanent fixture in God's house. I mentioned last time I did a video that the ravens are going out through the window this week. Our souls are being presented to the Lord. Period. Our souls are being presented. Next is the spirit will be presented. Our spirit and God's spirit presented together. It's twice. The dove goes out of the window and comes back with a olive branch, olive leaf. It's a covering. A leaf is a covering. Read the Genesis, Adam and Eve. They covered themselves. A covering is a covenant. Anytime God covers you. He's making a covenant. So the leaf that he brings back is a peace. It's brought back by the dove. The dove. He brings back a peace offering, a peace covering. And that starts on this Saturday. And who knows how long the dove was gone. He could have been gone, 2 or 3 days and then come back with the olive branch. But we know for sure the week after that, he leaves and does not come back. And then Noah waits another week, and then finally God says, get out. So the flesh he represents the flesh. Noah represents the flesh. The beasts represent the flesh. They go out through the door, but then a new covenant is made with them. Because he leaves the ark, and God makes a new covenant, and he sacrifices. He makes a fire, and everything. And then God sets up a new covenant with him, or a promise. He gives him a promise and gives him a sign in the sky. Well, you know the story. Yeah, that's really the main thing that I want to bring to you today. God's finger pierced the stone, which allowed a place for us to escape. So all of this, it needed to happen. We needed the commandments. We needed something to forge into the rock, the letter, in order for it to be filled, in order for us to overcome death. So now that we're even with death, remember the curse of Adam and Eve. When we became our fullness, we are now even with death. And it's really important to comprehend this and conceive of it. So you know, by the word of your testimony, you have overcome by the character, the soul. Yeah, I think that's it. Also, the letter is also what pierces. So it could be used as a harmful thing. Remember, the Pharisees came against Christ trying to use the Old Testament's letter to pierce him. It is true. And he then said, these scriptures actually point to me. They are the actual character of me. And you're using them against me? So piercing a heart is pierced through emotion. When the soldiers pierced Christ, water and oil flowed out. Anytime the water is the wine and the oil. So if you think about Jacob, when he made a covenant with God, he set up a stone marker. A stone marker. Hello, everybody, gravestone. And he poured over the top of it oil and water, or oil and a drinkable substance. Think about this. This is so amazing. He was showing, it was an outward sign, filling up the gaps in the rock, making it smooth, making it even. It was an outward sign to remember. These rituals are to help us remember. Anytime a marker, a stone is set up, it's a stone of remembrance. It's to help us remember. We're supposed to get back to remembering how we overcome death. What happens in the tomb? So Christ really did blot out the letter by becoming it. He filled the gaps and grooves that the letter left in the stone. The flood, the torrent that's in Revelation 12, is the beginning process, allowing the letter to be filled. The torrent allows the ark to be lifted, slowly covering all earth completely, removing anything unclean. Bursting the banks, overflowing the banks. It's called a levee breach. A levee. Think like law. It's a breach of the law, filling it up, overflowing it. So it is even. And the letter is the gap. And when you overflow, it becomes a flood, a filler. And the torrent floods the gap left by the letter, making it flush. So being equal means no more authority over each other. It's even. It's a peace offering, if you will. It's funny the dove is presenting itself next week. I see this as absolute perfect timing. Because, really, death's passed away. Death's been blotted out by the water caused by the torrent sent to fill the letter's gap. So then you say, death, where is your sting? It's true. When the letter has no more sting, because we know the character of the word, truth, that is Christ, death has passed away. Clean slate, no longer in the law, the letter, that pokes and entangles, but then is the truth that brings life and is soothing. The snake's curse, he will strike your heel, you will crush his head. When he strikes our heel with the letter, we crush his head with its intent, its character. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. When we can overcome that, we are even. The antidote in order for healing, we had become the letter to find the way out of the letter and into the truth. Only Jesus Christ could show us the character, the true intention of God. God is not fear. God is reverence. And perfect love expels all fear. I can have reverence for, you would want to have reverence for your husband or wife. You have reverence. But you don't fear your husband or wife. You don't fear them. You shouldn't fear them. That's not the right relationship. But if you have reverence for them, how much more will we do? How much more will we, not want to get in trouble, but we do out of love. When the water fills the letter, and it's even, the price is paid, water evaporates. And I wish it was warmer this morning. Off the river here, you can see the droplets from the river like fog on a warm morning. They will just, it rises. It rises. All of this fog that's over the top of the river. And even when we're speaking, it's cold this morning. So I'm seeing that my breath is coming out as fog and it's disappearing. These droplets are disappearing into the air. And that's what happens in the tomb. When we have become, it fills the tomb completely. Glory, water, all of that fills the tomb. And it goes out through the escape hatch. That's the escape hatch. It disappears. Okay. Let's see here. So the way out of the tomb letter is either through judgment, the door, or the secret escape hatch by filling the tombs with life, truth, the character of God, living in living water. So the window, the eye of God. And emotion comes through the eye. Words or judgment comes from the mouth. The mouth is your door. The eyes are the window. And also the eyes are the window to the soul. We enter God through emotion. God enters us through emotion. Emotions can't be ordered. Emotions cannot be ordered at all. You can't help yourself but cry sometimes. The windows of heaven are opened and the floodgates are open. That means God wept. God wept. He wept becoming water, evaporating. Yes, when Moses is in the wilderness, he holds up a snake on a pole. So the antidote for the snake's venom is looking at the snake on a pole. It's the same thing. He's pointing us to exactly the same thing again. When we get struck by the serpent and the venom comes into us, what we do is we look upon the death and resurrection of Christ. He was struck and then he overcame. It's the exact same thing. So the hole made by the serpent snake creates a gap in the flesh. When you get struck, it creates a gap. That means you're under the law. Then the gap is filled in by the truth, which is the antidote, which this blots out or fills in completely the gap. No more gap. It's healed. It's healed. The letter is healed. Water evaporates, droplets. Yes, another thing I want to bring you is the woman in travail. And there's also a woman in Ramah. The woman in travail is birthing a child. And the woman in Ramah, a child has died. One's bringing life, one's brought death. That's the difference between being under the law, in the letter, versus filling the letter with the true character of God. Think of it, so each person has a body, and inside of our body is our soul. Our true character is inside of us. Becoming the character of God is overcoming. Ramah is outside of the tomb. Travail is inside of the tomb. She's under the altar of God. She is giving birth. They overcome by the word of their testimony. Think of like a stone altar. A stone altar. Stone. If you set up a stone altar on a piece of stone, it's got all four sides. All stone. And filled in with water. That sounds like a well. Yep. Okay, that's all I want to bring today. Hope all is well with everyone, and have a good week. And hopefully the Lord is appearing to you in new ways. And yeah, so bless everybody and have a good day.